can all sit here and thank Steph for this era, and everybody's played a part in it, and it's really an impressive sort of collection of people and talent, but it's Steph. You know, when it comes down to it, you remove Steph from the equation. I'm not coaching here for a decade, you know. I would have been fired a long time ago if I even, you know, would have gotten the job in the first place.
Well, he's not wrong. Steph Curry DIY'd Game 7 with 50 points to set up the 5th career postseason matchup with LeBron James, each with 4 titles. They've got finals MVPs on their resumes, league MVPs on their resumes, and you see the all-time career point rankings in the postseason, 1st and 13th, respectively. Game 1 of that semifinal tonight on TNT. Chris Haynes will be on the sidelines for Game 1 in San Francisco with Brian Anderson and Stan Van Gundy. Hey, Chris, well, you can't beat this series for marquee star power with LeBron and Steph facing off in a playoff series. Which of the two will have the heaviest lift in this semifinal?
Well, if you put me on the spot, why not? I guess I have to go with LeBron James. The reason why is this is a team that's still trying to find its connective juices. It's a team that was put together at the trade deadline, and they're still trying to gel, you know, and that's on and off the court. But they've done a good job in this stretch of putting themselves in position to get the seed that they got going into the playoffs. But, you know, it's a lot to ask out of these guys. You got Austin Reeves, who's emerged as a phenomenal young player. You got Jared Vanderbilt, who is a two-way player, and mostly on the defensive end. But, you know, these are guys that are trying to still find a way and be able to compete at a high level. With the Golden State Warriors and Stephen Curry, this is a team that's a nucleus that's been together for some time. So I think that's the difference between those two. But when you're talking about Stephen Curry, a team, and a LeBron James team, you're going to expect the max level from both those squads. That's what I expect tonight.
Absolutely. That midseason remake by the Lakers was nothing short of remarkable. Anthony Davis, also remarkable. He was dominant against the Grizzlies, especially defensively. How does the assignment change for AD against the Dubs?
Yeah, I spoke to AD this morning as he was leaving shoot-around, and he said he has the number one priority, the number one assignment, and that is to contain Kevon Looney. We saw how Looney had his way in that first round against Sabonis and Sacramento Kings. He dominated, and the way he dominated was with the boards, offensive boards, giving his team extra possessions. And AD told me that if he allows Kevon Looney to get extra possessions and allow him to pass it out to Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry for threes, this crowd is going to ignite, and it's going to make it mighty tough for these guys to come away with the win tonight in Game 1. So he said that's his number one priority, containing Kevon Looney, and the way that he said it was holding them to one possession.
Wow, yeah. Looney might say the same, by the way, about Anthony Davis. A lot on his plate in terms of trying to slow him down. Chris, appreciate the time. As always, we'll look for you in the pink suit tonight on TNT a little later on.
It's burgundy. Why it's burgundy? But you're close enough.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's just the hotel lighting must be on. All right, Chris Haynes with us. You know, it's interesting. The question I asked about the heaviest lift, and there's no wrong answer there. I understand Chris's logic for saying LeBron, and I'm thinking it's Steph, because you looked at that Game 7. They needed every one of those 50 points.
No, they did. But I also, the reason why I think it's LeBron, too, I think it has more to do with off the court. I think when morale gets down, you have Draymond who's been there. You have Klay who's been there. You have Steve Kerr who's been there. You have Iguodala who's been there. I think with the Lakers, it's LeBron and AD. And so, and then Darvin Ham has been there as an assistant coach, but not as a head coach.
Not with this group.
And then if AD's not going well, I think it's a lot on LeBron to have to put the team on his back. But when we watch Steph, though, woo, what you think about that 50 points?
Oh, man, it was a masterpiece. I'm going with both of them. I'm going to say Steph has more lifting to do on the court, LeBron off the court. LeBron has to see what AD they're getting, because AD is their first option. So we have to play through him and see if he has it going this game. If he doesn't, I think they're best when he does have it going, and then you have 3 other guys get 20-plus, including LeBron, and let him, LeBron I'm talking about, take over in the fourth quarter. Steph Curry has to do it all game long. He has to have the energy to run around. He has to keep those guys engaged. He has to keep Draymond engaged. And okay, Wiggins, now you need to do that. So I think on the court it's Steph Curry, off the court LeBron, but we're in for a treat. As basketball fans, we get a treat. We get two of the all-time greats going head-to-head playing at this level. It's going to be fun.
Really interesting series. Just the second time in NBA postseason history that a 6 seed and a 7 seed meet in a postseason series. There is news on the team. The Lakers closed out on Friday. Shams Charania of The Athletic reports the Grizzlies have already told Dillon Brooks he will not be back with the team next season. The free agent-to-be has been an elite defender, an occasional distraction for the Grizzlies as well. He racked up 18 technical fouls during the regular season and called attention to himself with his words and actions in the first-round loss to the Lakers. Interesting that you've learned this before free agency even gets close.
I don't like it from the Grizzlies organization. If a guy's a free agent, you don't have to announce that he's not coming back.
No.
I mean, you just don't have to offer him a contract, and it will play itself out. So I don't like a guy that you had to have him, you played starters minute. If you didn't like his antics, you should have corrected that in December, January, February. Now, yes, you're correcting him, but I don't like that you're saying you're not bringing him back. And I also read under any circumstance.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not, Matt, but I've read that as well. I didn't like that statement and how they handled that, the Grizzlies organization.
It's really interesting in that it feels like a literal statement from the Grizzlies in terms of what we want our culture to be moving forward. But you almost never hear of this, at this time of the year, basically leaking through the media that this guy's not coming back.
And basically saying you're clearly the reason for what happened, our demise. Like it's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're not telling the person.
Feels like a scapegoat, right?
Period. And he put himself in harm's way as far as if you're going to be the villain, you could have been the villain and owned that. He halfway owned it, and then when it went the other way, he didn't. And I think that's what kind of caused confusion with everybody.
I'm with you. I just, as an organization, he's an unrestricted free agent, right?
Yeah.
Right. You didn't
Free
have to
season's
say
July,
anything.
right?
We don't have to say anything.
There's no official statement from them, but
Day after, no, you won't be back. Thank you for your service. Like, that's basically saying,
really interesting, and
yes.
I wonder how other players will view that moving forward when it's time to sign free agents, other agents as well.
Yes.
Thinking about that, it's.
Now, he didn't help himself. We know that.
No, for sure.
But I'm not sure they did either with how they did it.
No, then other teams will have to think twice before signing Dillon Brooks for all his defensive ability because of all the other stuff I just mentioned. But you just don't hear this from teams. NBA TV studios, good to have you with us for Playoff Central Live. Steve Smith, Jamal Crawford right there. I'm Matt Weiner. Interesting move by the Miami Heat, and understandable if Butler is not 100% tonight. Why risk it? You've already won a game in this series.
You just said it. You won a game, so you bought yourself time. Imagine that ankle injury happened and they lost that game. Now pressure's different. With them winning that game, I think he gets a few days in between and hopefully he comes back healthy.
I think Jamal and Matt, let's go with the conversations. I just want to imagine the conversation between Pat, Zoe, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler in that room and obviously with the medical staff. I just know Jimmy Butler wanted to play.
For sure.
He didn't come out the game when he twisted his ankle. So,
right.
But you guys said it best. They had already won one. So you usually come in there to try to get one. You'd rather have him fairly healthy for the rest of the series, but I know that was a knockdown, drag out. Who's going to play? Why not? I can go, but I think it's the right call, especially just like Jamal said, they already won one.
Boy, this series has the feel of a knockdown, drag out as well, kind of an old school 90s feel to it. For the Knicks, shot the ball abysmally from three-point range in game one. It's a big part of what they do, obviously. What are the adjustments for New York?
Well, I think now the pressure goes on New York even more. And obviously, I think they should win this game. But I think as long as they stay close, the pressure, because you're supposed to beat the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. They're not a great team scoring, Jamal, with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
So without Jimmy Butler, you're supposed to win. But in that Garden pressure, I think they will win. But I think the adjustments for me is they got to find a way to get guys to knock down open shots because Miami Heat's going to pack it in. They're going to pack it in. Some guys got to loosen up by to knock shots. They don't have enough guys, to me. Playoff basketball is, I know what you're going to do, you know what you're going to do, and I know what you're going to do. Now you got to go get it on your own. They don't have enough guys to go get it on their own, in my opinion.
And they're a heavy ISO team. They've relied on Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle all season long. They both got the injuries now. How do they change the way they have played all season long when they have to in a playoff series here?
Well, I'm not sure they have to change now that Jimmy's out. What I noticed was Jimmy was guarding Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson was a little hesitant to attack him. with no Jimmy Butler, Jalen Brunson can attack now and get downhill with more confidence, which is give his teammates more confidence and get them easier shots because he's the head of the snake. If Randall doesn't play, I think they play a faster tempo and get easier baskets that way as well.
Well, this Heat team is a remarkable story. Remember, they lost their opening play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks, came back, got 31 for Max Strus in the win over Chicago, take out the #1 seed in Milwaukee, close that out in 5. How is it that Miami seems to be more than the sum of its parts? It was Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo along the way, and somehow here they are in the second round.
Their grit, their championship pedigree. Eric Spoelstra is one of the most underrated coaches in the league. Their organization is one of the most underrated. And then you have Jimmy Butler, who turns into a superhero, probably the MVP of the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
He just lives for these moments. Kyle Lowry, a vet. The thing that's been evident in these series is vets matter, the mid-range still matter. Miami Heat do both well.
All right, let's check in with Jared Greenberg. He's at Madison Square Garden for Game 2 tonight, alongside Ian Eagle and Jim Jackson. There's Jared. Jimmy Butler obviously is out now. In terms of the New York Knicks, what's the latest on Julius Randle's status?
Well, we can watch over here on the right side of me. Julius Randle is on the court, and from everything I've heard, including conversation with Tom Thibodeau, they are literally waiting to find out how this workout goes from Julius Randle. Been dealing with that ankle injury. He has yet to play 5-on-5, but Tom Thibodeau told me he feels his cardio is good in that if he does play tonight, there will not be any sort of restriction on his playing time. But again, Randle on the court right now warming up, and we should find out within minutes whether he can go along with Jalen Brunson, who was a bit of a surprise on the injury report today with that ankle injury. He warmed up about 30 minutes ago, and we expect within the next 20 minutes to get an update on both Randle and Brunson at the same time.
All right, in terms of the Knicks, what would they like to change tonight? Obviously, a lot of changes without Butler on the floor. What would they like to change in terms of the way they attack Miami?
Yeah, the Knicks feel surprisingly pretty good about the way they played in Game 1. The way Tom Thibodeau just put it to me was it was a one-possession game with 4 minutes to go, and we did that without the services of Julius Randle. The big thing for him, while many people are going to focus on the shooting, it was the points off of the turnovers that they gave up. They only had 13 turnovers. The issue, the Heat turned that into 22 points. Obviously, they would prefer to shoot better from three-point territory, but that appears to be an epidemic that has plagued them since the start of the playoffs. They're a team that was middle of the pack in both three-point percentage and makes during the regular season. As you see on your screen, during the playoffs, they have been the very worst three-point shooting team among postseason teams so far, and that includes the way they shot the ball in Game 1. So they feel like they're getting good looks. They just got to go down.
All right, Jared, and how is your cardio, by the way? Julius Randle's is good for tonight, according to Tom Thibodeau. How are you feeling in the middle of this playoff trudge?
Yeah, considering my baseline is very low, I feel good about where I am right now on that.
Okay, good. All right. Don't want to hear any heavy breathing during the game when you're on the mic. All right, Jared Greenberg with us from New York ahead of Game 2 tonight, the Heat and the New York Knicks. In terms of the three-point shooting, you can't just tell your players to hit shots, right? That's not a strategy. How can they spring the Knicks for better looks, better opportunities from the three-point line?
Shooting them with confidence. I think what's important is not knowing you have a shot, but knowing when you do have a shot as well. You have to shoot it with confidence. I think when you see the ball go through, whether it be a free throw, a layup, a mid-range, then your confidence becomes bigger. The tougher shots, the open three-pointers become easier to make.
You know, I look at it go back to what Jamal said, because Jimmy Butler was guarding Jalen Brunson. He usually get downhill and he collapsed the defense. And then there's guys getting open three-point shots. A mark of a great three-point shooter is you can hit contested three-point shots. They don't have a lot of guys that can hit contested three-point shots. They need Brunson, they need Randle to collapse the defense, and they get shots where you're off balance. If I'm running at Jamal, now he can shoot it or use my money and go by me. But if I'm standing there with Jamal, then, Jamal's like, oh, I can guard Smitty. I can guard, you can guard a guy when he gets the basketball and he can't make a next move and you're this close. They need Jalen Brunson to get downhill, or they need Julius Randle to get downhill.
Offensively, without Butler, Miami was not a great offensive team in the regular season, to put it mildly. They've been incredible here in the postseason so far, but they really only carry two guards who are primary ball handlers, Gabe Vincent, who was great in Game 1, and Kyle Lowry, who was excellent off the bench. But in terms of shot creation, without Butler on the floor, there's not a ton of it for Miami. What does their offense look like tonight?
Their offense looks like we're going to take a good shot so we can get back and set our defense, miss or make. That's them. They don't really take bad shots. They might not make a lot of shots, But if you're not taking wild shots, if I know Kyle Lowry's going to get downhill, miss or make, but he's getting downhill, he's going to throw his body into you, and then now they don't get a chance to run a fast break because they execute their offense. If they don't make shots, they still get a chance to set their defense. I think tonight also just knowing Miami Heat, that played for them twice, it's not about shots.
Right.
It's about competing. Don't let Jamal beat you.
That competitive spirit.
Whatever it takes.
Always
Whatever
been
it
there.
takes. Kyle Lowry, you're going to guard Obi Toppin. So what? You got him.
Right.
You got him.
Yeah.
You're not big enough. No, you have him. That's the one thing about the Miami Heat. If you watch the practice, you see a switch. Everybody used to yell in other teams, well, you got a small, you got a little. That's not yelled in Miami Heat.
Right.
Matt, you guard Zoe.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
And now if we getting beat, we'll make an adjustment, but not on the fly.
It is a different organization in terms of approach. The Miami